Be honest, do you really want Wile E. Coyote to win? We watch all his cute little attempts and we laugh, and every time gets a little more drawn in by his unencumbered effort, his self-destructive lack of inhibition, and see ourselves in him, drawn in with each passing failure. Because really, there's something kind of beautiful about a guy who won't stop, can't stop, following the path he set out for himself. I mean, ignore the whole part about how said goal is the literal murder of another living being. Ignoring that, I think part of the appeal of Wile E. Coyote is seeing someone keep failing and still hold unending determination. My grandfather used to say he felt like Wile E. Coyote because the guy can't catch a break. God knows I would probably be farther ahead in life if I had the kind of spirit this guy does to keep going after fucking it up so much. So I ask again, is it his success that we're rooting for? Because the day he finally catches the Roadrunner is the day we run out of episodes to relate to. In fact, his failure isn't just a necessity, it's a rule. One of 9 outlined by Looney Tunes creator Chuck Jones in his autobiography. Honestly, some of these feel like they're just there to pad out the list. Sure, it always has to take place in the American Southwest. There's no dialogue allowed, and every failed product has to come from Acme. Naturally. It's not that these aren't tenets of the series, they're just duh. The others, though, can be downright insightful. Take number 2, quote, "No outside force can harm the Coyote. Only his own ineptitude or the failure of Acme products." Or number 3, "The Coyote could stop any time if he were not a fanatic," which is defined as someone who redoubles his effort when he has forgotten his aim. So not only is the Coyote destined to fail, he will continue to do so out of his own ineptitude, forever having practically lost sight of why he's doing it in the first place. So what if you put the spotlight on this character and finally gave him the chance to find some success? This was the pitch for Coyote versus Acme, a story about Wile finally taking action against the Acme company for all the failures they've caused him. Sounds like an interesting pitch for a movie, right? You'll never see it. It was finished and then scrapped for a tax deduction worth less than half of what the film cost to make. Chuck Jones once described Wile E. Coyote as the embodiment of greed and hunger, but I think I have a strong contender for that title. Warner Brothers, everyone's favorite poison in the well that is the film industry, was the one to make this bold decision, likely all the way from the top. Warner Brothers' fearless leader, David Zaslav. They deemed it more profitable to create intentional lost media than it would be to take the incredibly risky chance of releasing a finished film starring John Cena, Will Forte, and produced by James Gunn, the man Warner is single-handedly relying on for future profits. Forget their imperative as a company to distribute films. What would this film distribution company know about that? This man is clearly making the decisions that earn him a pay 6 million times the minimum wage. Just one more L for our buddy Wile, this time shared among the rest of us. If you think about it, this story feels almost like it was crafted perfectly for Wile, a man who cannot win in a movie about his first real chance of success against the evil corporation that keeps screwing him over, struck down by the evil corporation that owns him out of their own greed. When the film was first announced to be canceled, Carson Kapanek, the film's editor, pointed out that this is a film about, quote, a giant corporation choosing stock over empathy, doing nothing illegal, but morally shady stuff for profit. It's a David and Goliath story. It's about the cynical and casual cruelness of capitalism and corporate greed. And, well, yes, that is absolutely what the story is about. I think there's an even better lens through which to view it. From Dave Green, the director of the damn film, quote, "I am beyond happy of the final product and beyond devastated by WB's decision. But in the spirit of Wile E. Coyote, resilience and persistence win the day. Because, and I'm actually going to spoil the ending here, this isn't actually another story of failure. It's a success story. Coyote versus Acme was not the first of its kind. It was the third, actually. Warner had done the same to 2 other films before it, Batgirl and the sequel to Scoob. Now, I haven't seen either of those, but from what I've heard, there's a reason they were canceled. Not to say that bad movies don't deserve to be seen. There was a cast and crew who poured months and years of their lives into these movies, but from what I understand, they were awful. Not Coyote versus Acme, though. The second Warner announced that they murdered this film, everyone in Hollywood who had seen a rough cut of this film came out of the woodwork and announced how this film had the humor, the charm, and the heart that is simply missing from most soulless corporate schlock released in theaters today. Phil Lord and Chris Miller called it moving, wonderful and said they hope several studios go after it so the world can see all the good work the people did. And others called it the best of its kind since Roger Rabbit. All of this isn't even to mention the massive backlash. It grew to be so strong, a US Congress member began a federal investigation into Warner for antitrust violations. He called it predatory, anti-competitive, and compared it to burning a building down for the insurance money. So, what happened? 4 days. It's been 3.5 years since Batgirl was canceled, and for my money, I think it's dead and gone, but Coyote versus Acme? It only took 4 days for Warner to reverse course, promising to put the rights to distribute the film up to different studios. Within months, it was reported that Netflix and Paramount had made offers around $50 million, and Warner denied both. No, I can't accept $50 million for this movie I would otherwise get $30 million for. What kind of deal is that? Eventually, though, it found its home. Ketchup Entertainment, indie film distributor of a few movies you might have heard of, as well as plenty that you definitely haven't, most notably Looney Tunes' most recent cinematic outing, cinched the deal. It releases August 28th, 2026. Please go see it! And that's it. In a little over 8 months, Coyote vs. Acme will release to what I'm sure will be widespread critical praise and massive financial success, proving Warner, Netflix, Paramount, and every other studio that didn't fight harder to give us this film just how wrong they were. Wile E. Coyote will live on to lose another day. Which, I get it, seems kind of sad. This is a character whose existence means continued failure for the sake of all of our entertainment, unendingly rolling that boulder into that trap one more time, hoping this will be the one to catch the Roadrunner so we can all laugh one more time. But I choose to view it differently. For one thing, those rules are almost certainly observational after the fact and never acted as laws to be followed in the initial run's creation. Michael Maltese, the other creator of Wile E. and Roadrunner, is quoted as saying that he had never heard of them and called them, quote, post-production observation. Not to mention, most of them have been broken by now. For God's sake, later iterations have Wile speaking full sentences. Listen to the guy say papaya.
Papaya?
Papaya.
Sponge cake.
Sponge cake. No, I think Wile is someone who does what he does no longer for the sake of the goal, but for the act itself. I like to think it's fully transitioned into a game between two old friends. One must imagine Wile E. Coyote happy. I won't pretend this was a major blow to the Hollywood system. We didn't take down capitalism with this one. We didn't save the other films damned to the same fate, and it likely won't be the last lost to greed. But it's still a win nonetheless. And one day, I promise you this, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Netflix, and every other company that colludes in these despicable anti-consumer practices will finally look down and realize the ground they once stood on is just the void they deserve to fall into. Their downfall will come from their own ineptitude, having chased their own greed until they lost sight of what they initially sought out to give the world. And that will come because of days like today.
Real quick, first thing I want to say, congratulations to everyone else who worked on this. It was not easy. It's a miracle one of them got done, let alone the amount that actually did. Other thing, this is my very first video essay. I want to say, if you like this topic about like the film industry and the damage that's done and the way that we can work around it, I have a video coming out that I've been working on for over a year. In like a month it'll be out. If you like this kind of thing, please subscribe, like the video. You know, I've never done this before. Am I even doing the right thing? Subscribe if you want. Hit the bell thing. I don't know. Thank you.